Creating a sketch or a storyboard is a good way of planning and communicating your design and animation. I sometimes just sketch on paper, sometimes on a tablet. It doesn't matter how you do it or how rough it is. It's just good practice to sketch out ideas before spending too much time refining them on the computer.
So I'm going to create my storyboards in Illustrator, but you can use any software or even a pen and paper and scan it in. I'm going to start by creating a new document, 1920 by 1080. I'm going to save the file in my Illustrator folder and just call it storyboards. So using my rectangle tool over here, we're going to create some storyboard panels. So if you select on the rectangle tool and then select anywhere on screen, it gives you a width and height of the rectangle. I'm going to keep that at 1920 by 1080. Then I'm going to just align that to the center of the page, and you can find Align in Windows Align, and that'll bring up a tab over here. Now with the rectangle selected, I'm going to right click on it and head to Transform and Scale, and I'm going to scale that down to 50% on the uniform. And I'm going to make that, align that to top left. I'm going to copy and paste and align this one to top right. Copy and paste again and align this to center and down the bottom. Then I'm going to select them all and head to Object, Transform, and Transform Each. And I'm going to make them 80%. So now we've got 3 storyboard panels here, and the reason being is I want 3 shots in my film. I want a close-up, I want a mid-shot, and I want a wide kind of reveal shot. Just going to drop these down here. Next thing we're going to do is bring in some of the references from our deck. So if we head back to our deck, just going to screen grab the images from the final project inspiration page. And I'm going to save that into input and create a new folder called references. So now we can refer to these later if we need to. I'm going to do the same with our shape references page. Right, now if we head back into Illustrator, grab those references, just drag them in. And we might want to drop them onto a new layer and position them somewhere out of the way of the frames, and then we can lock them for now. So I'm going to start by storyboarding the final frame of the film, and this is going to be like a top-down or front-on shot, like similar kind of to this, which is going to fill the entire screen. And then I'm going to work backwards from there. So I'm going to start by maybe moving these just up here so we can see them. I'm just going to start illustrating. Just going to start looking at different shapes in the shape references and also in the final project inspiration references, and just start sketching out what the final design might look like, just to get an idea about, what might be on screen. So just looking at some of these shapes, quite like this. Kind of just do what feels natural. I illustrate with these kinds of shapes quite often, so it becomes a bit like instinct about where something should go. trying to find some interesting combinations of shapes next to each other. Again, it doesn't have to be pretty, just has to get the idea across about what's happening. I'm just using a Wacom pen. Cool, I mean, it's really rough, but it kind of gives me a sense that the frame is really full and there's lots of intersecting shapes. It looks fun and busy. So let's work on the second shot now. I'm just going to move this out of the way. And the second shot's going to be this mid shot, which is going to be 3/4 angle, so we get a sense of depth, and you can see how deep the individual pieces are and how they kind of all interconnect. I'm going to focus just on a particular area of final frame, just so we get a sense of storytelling or flow, so we can understand what's actually happening. So just select my brush tool again. I'm just going to focus on this piece here and just drawing in perspective. Just going to roughly scamp out some of the shapes. And this extends out further. We can make this deeper again. Just a bit of shading. I think that's probably enough, just to give us an idea that we're seeing things from a perspective view and we get a sense of depth. So let's work on the close-up now. I'm just going to move this out of frame from a brush tool again, and I'm just going to pick another area, maybe pick these two guys. So I'll draw the circles in first. And I'll draw the rectangle around them. We can draw some of the background elements. So we've got a close-up now, a mid shot, and our final shot, which is a top-down kind of reveal. I'm going to turn off the references or put them into a new layer. I'm just going to cut and paste and turn those off. So now if we can also make the frames a bit thicker, like 5. And I'm just going to save that. Finally, I'm going to put them in a line so we can see the kind of the flow of the actual film. I'm going to select them and group them into their frames, pressing Ctrl G. And I'm actually going to scale them down a bit more. So if we just right click, scale, should be able to fit them all in, I think. And literally just move them along. We'll scale them to 95, see if that works. Yeah. We can just align that. Cool, so now we've got our close-up, our mid shot, and our wide shot. I'm going to export that, save for web, save as a JPEG, and I'm just going to save it in the Illustrator folder. Then head over to the deck, and in our storyboards section, I'm going to drop, there we are, and that's our storyboards.
Now that we've created a sketch or a storyboard of what we're going to make, let's move on to the next lesson, where I'm going to show you how to make color palettes. I'll see you there.